everyone? This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts. And we have a fun episode today. Now, I'm trying to remember if I went over rickets, my post on rickets in a previous episode. I may have a little bit, but I wanted to go over it again so that people could see the cod liver. Kelsey found this great paper and she sent it to me. She's in the chat over there. Hello, Kelsey. Kelsey found a great paper on it was called The Limitations of Cod Liver Oil in Rickets. And we're going to go over that today because, everybody thinks that rickets was obliterated by cod liver oil. And when you see this paper where they're saying, yeah, it didn't work, but we're still going to recommend it. It's pretty wild. And I'm going to go through the post on Twitter and the research I did on that to show you that, maybe we've been lied to in this whole nutrition science thing about these fat-soluble alcohols that were called vitamins. So first of all, I've learned something. I learned something the other week about how YouTube promotes things. So we do still want you to like and subscribe and, come in the live chat and chat there. But actually, when you think about it, as somebody was putting it, YouTube is not so much, it's not like Instagram or Facebook where they want comments and likes and stuff as much as they want people to watch stuff. They want the more time you get watching videos, it makes sense. The more time you get watching a video, obviously the more you like it, and so the more they're going to promote it. The comments and other stuff is kind of, they call them vanity metrics. So anyway, what we want you to do is watch more of the videos on the channel. And I've put out plenty. Somebody was saying on Twitter today that they'd watched 400 hours of my stuff here. So yeah, that helps more than the comments and the likes and stuff. So anyway, just keep that in mind. Time on the channel is what will help promote this in the algos. So, okay, let's get into it. So let me go to my Twitter post. I'm just going to share the link on this one so that you guys have it. If you don't follow me on Twitter, like I always say, that's where I do most of my stuff. So here it is. This is the post. I'm going to go through the research that I cover in this tweet, but if you want to find the links and all that stuff, it's all right here. So here we go. Here's the paper: Studies on Iron Deficiency Anemia, Rickets, and Zinc Deficiency and their prevention among Chinese preschool children. Yeah, Will says he's eating a steak while watching. Very good, Will. Red meat is a lack of red meat, as you're going to see. Red meat especially is what causes the so-called vitamin A deficiency in the blood because it's stuck in the liver. It can be related to vitamin D deficiency, and those things can be related to what they call rickets. So let's go down in here. So I just want you to pay attention to what they're about to say. The incidence of iron deficiency anemia, rickets, and zinc deficiency is very high in Chinese preschool children, and a method for prevention is urgently needed. Those things are all going to, do you see how they're all together? So just a quick question. Where could we get a really good source of iron if we need it? We do need iron. Yes, we can be overloaded, but we do need it. And, oh wait, Joe, let me get you on here. Yeah, we do need iron and zinc. Funny thing is, the leaner the cut of meat, the more iron and zinc it has in it, just so you know. The leaner the cut of beef or bison or whatever you're choosing to eat, especially in red meat, the more iron and zinc come together. So I think I had one more. Nope, I didn't have anything else marked on that one. So just notice that they come together, okay? So now the next thing I talked about. The development of rickets in children and nursing contributions to treatment. This is the paper. Let me pull up. Where did my chat go? There it went. I love how everybody in the chat is like, I ate this red meat. I'm cooking this red meat. It's great. So if rickets was a meat deficiency, well, let's read this one. Rickets is one of the most prevalent non-communicable diseases in children in the developing world. It is often found in cultures in which children follow strict vegetarian diets. So, what are vegetarians not eating? This should be obvious, okay? So we're just going to keep going. So, rickets, vitamin D deficiency and dependency, right? So they say rickets is related to a vitamin D deficiency, and that therefore you should take things like toxic cod liver oil and rat poison vitamin D3 supplements to prevent it. But what if vitamin D was expressing some other deficiency? So shouldn't sun help fix rickets then? Well, rickets is an important problem even in countries with adequate sun exposure. Wait. Now this next line is key. The causes of rickets / osteomalacia are varied and include nutritional deficiency. Okay, we're going to get into that a lot. So just keep in mind that they keep saying that there's these other connections to rickets. Now, assessment of serum vitamin D status and its associated health problem among children with protein energy malnutrition. Sorry, let me get that. Let me share that tab. Protein energy malnutrition, a cross-sectional research study in central rural India. So what is protein energy malnutrition? Protein energy malnutrition is a condition that results from inadequate intake, not enough, of both macronutrients, that's like proteins, fats, carbs, and that would equal your calories, and micronutrients, that would be like minerals, leading to a lack of energy. The condition can manifest quickly or gradually, ranging from mild to severe. It predominantly affects children in low-income countries. What are we talking about here? China, India, Africa is going to be one of them. Where do they find vitamin A deficiency all the time? Africa, who do not receive enough calories and proteins. Okay, this is a key thing that I go over always here and other places, is that if you don't eat enough food, you will make yourself sick. And by enough food, I mean protein and calories. People in modern Western countries, first world countries, however you choose to say it, can do this to themselves. They can choose to do it. Like if you decide you're going to do the cowboy diet as part of your vitamin A detox, which is basically red meat, beef or bison, and beans. And it's a legit diet. If you get along with beans that much, it's a very legit diet. But could you like not eat enough of it? Sure. So whenever anybody out there says, oh, I did the diet and it didn't work, the two first things I would always question in this person, never forget that user error or reading the instructions improperly and implementing them improperly is the big result. It results in a lot of problems. Never forget that. Like, you know, when you read Amazon reviews and you're like, somebody's like, this product was terrible. And then you realize that what you're reading is from a not very intelligent person. And then you go, oh yeah, they probably just didn't do it right. So protein energy malnutrition. Let me find the next part in here. Here we go. Based on the study's findings, it was concluded that children who suffer from protein energy malnutrition are at risk of developing vitamin D deficiency, which can result in adverse health outcomes, including developmental delay and pain. How in the world does protein and energy cause a vitamin D deficiency? Or is the vitamin D deficiency really just lack of protein, zinc, iron, other stuff, and just total calories? So these two, do you see what I'm saying? That when you get into my vitamin D thread and we start seeing that not enough zinc, can cause a vitamin D deficiency, and not enough magnesium can cause a vitamin D deficiency. And then you start going, well, wait, what is vitamin D really showing then? Okay. So we got this stuff. So we got all these things going together. All this obviously with meat. What do people in low income countries not eat very much of? Meat, right? So let's keep going. This is my thread here. So for those of you who want to see it, I'm not going to go through this because y'all can just read it for free. And so I can get to more subscriber questions so I can answer your questions. This is how you can boost your vitamin D production in your body without having to take rat poison supplements. Because if you did not know, vitamin D3 is sold as rat poison. You can look up the brands Terra D3, TERAD number 3, Terra D3 or D-Con, D-Con, and you'll see that the active ingredient in those is D3. And they use vitamin D3 as rat poison when everybody will go, but no, wait, rat poison is Coumadin or warfarin, the blood thinner. Well, yeah, that's the first line. When they use the warfarin Coumadin rat poisons long enough and the mice and the rats get immune to it, or they learn to not eat it, what do they do as the second level? What is the next level rat poison after warfarin or Coumadin? It's vitamin D3. So vitamin D3 is the next level rat poison, just so you know. And that's legit. I don't make this stuff up. So this talks about zinc and magnesium. I don't remember if I go over protein in this article, but I may have to add that in the future. So if you have a quote unquote vitamin D deficiency, you probably have a zinc deficiency like almost everybody else. You probably have a magnesium deficiency like everybody else. You may or may not be eating enough protein. That's something that a lot of people who work with me are going to fix very quickly. So let's go to the next one. This is my mega vitamin D thread. Just wanted to post it here so you all could see it. I just found the other day that this has 330,000 views. I was pretty impressed. I thought that was really cool. I was like, wow, a lot of people have read it. And this goes over all my threads on vitamin D. We got like how it's not good for you, how it's killed people before, how it worsens osteoporosis, how to use light, which I just did a whole live stream here on a couple ago, how vitamin A is connected to vitamin D, and how getting sun exposure, when everybody was talking about, sunning your testicles or your starfish, when they were talking about that, what they really don't know is you're actually using the sun to break down vitamin A in your male parts. And that is what the testosterone benefit comes from. So I go over that. I go over the deficiencies and toxicities that will make it so you don't make vitamin D and that stuff. So anyway, that's all there. So now let's get into some studies on rickets and another one connecting it to meat. So this is one big paper where they're trying to justify vitamin A as being good for rickets. Okay, vitamin A and cod liver oil and that stuff. So now I'm going to go over to my Joe. I'm going to see. I really hope this works. Actually, you know what? Let me. Oh, come on now. Let me bring this over. I may have to share my screen for this one. Let me see. Let me go into my thing because I'm going to show my PDF reader because I highlighted some things. So let's go in. I haven't done this before. I should have done this before the episode, but I didn't. So, it is what it is. Let's go here. Let's go share. Let's go screen. Let's go. Where's my PDF viewer? Dang it. Come on now. Okay. Screen. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Hold on. I got it. I figured it out. There it is. Okay. So Joe, we're going to share my screen here. I'm changing it. There we go. Okay. So we can share that now. Here we go. Studies on experimental rickets. So I really want you to pay attention to the highlighted parts, and the highlighting doesn't look great, right? They kind of don't cover all the. Here we go. Xerophthalmia is dry eye. So just so you know, we have recently, however, convinced ourselves that a similar ophthalmia, similar dry eye to supposedly vitamin A deficiency, may be the result of a disturbance of the balance of inorganic elements in the diet. Inorganic elements, minerals. What are we talking about with zinc and iron and all that stuff? Magnesium, minerals. So let's keep going. Oh, hold on. Let me see what Joe. Let me look at this while you're here. Now I got to look at my phone to see Joe's comment. Is there a source link for the PDF? Okay. I have. Let me get this. Yeah, Joe. Here, I'm getting it. How am I going to send this to you? Without, I'll send it to you right after I change the screen. So okay. So here we go. The disconnect. All of Mellanby's own data cannot be brought into line with this reasoning. For example, so I want you to pay very close attention. For example, dog 187 was fed bread, yeast, salt, orange juice, separated milk, and 10 cc's, 10 milliliters of cottonseed oil, but no meat. It developed rickets. Okay, so that diet in a dog caused rickets. Dog 305 had the same diet, but with 10 grams of meat. The bones of this animal are described as practically normal, no rickets. And they specifically say here, meat is essentially lacking in fat-soluble vitamin A. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I don't remember if I marked anything else in here. I don't think I did. Nope. So really interesting that they could prevent rickets in a dog with 10 grams of meat. So Joe, I'm going to share this, and then we're going to, I'm going to bring this down. So Joe, you can switch to that tab. That's the link. And then let's go here. And then we'll go here. There's the PDF. Okay. So we got that. Now, let's go into this paper. 1926. Let me have a drink of my my Niasota Black. This is Kelsey's pre-buffered, pre-charcoaled niacin drink. There we go. So if you want any of it, Joe will probably post her store link if he hasn't already. And Kelsey's in the chat if you want to ask her questions about it. So let's go to so Joe, I'm going to switch again. Let me come here. And we'll go there. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen again. There we go. Okay, Joe, we should be good to share the PDF again, which is what we should be doing. Why is that blacked out? There we go. That's what we should be sharing. Okay. So before we head into this, wait, Joe, what's going on? Hold on. Oh, yeah, to Zoom. Okay, got it. I just don't see it on the screen, Joe. We're not on we're on the cod liver oil. Is that what you have? I'm not seeing it on my screen. Oh, this is not zooming. There it is. Joe, you got the wrong thing. No, we don't want studies on experimental rickets. We want limitations of cod liver oil and rickets. I shared my screen. That's what we're trying to do. I'll share it again. Should be there. Oh, there it is. Yes, got it. Okay, cool. So I'm trying, let me zoom in again. Trying to zoom. There we go. So this is the paper. I have the link to PubMed for this. Kelsey found the whole paper somewhere, somehow. So this whole paper is like they're trying to justify cod liver oil to treat rickets, right? Because that's supposedly the magical thing. Okay. Just watch. Secondly, the contributory etiologic, that's causative role of inappropriate or inadequate mineral nutrients in the diet and the need of sunlight. So again, they're going minerals. Too much or too little of certain minerals. Definitely too little, as you're going to see. And the need for sunlight. So here's the thing I want you to understand, folks. Science says that we go out in the sun, and as the sun hits our skin, we make more vitamin D. So we oxidize some cholesterol in our skin, and that goes back into our blood, and we see it. The key thing you have to understand is, do I believe that we need sunlight to be healthy and happy and have a good life? Yes. Yes. That's why we don't have much hair, is so we can absorb sunlight. It doesn't mean that vitamin D is the magical thing that it does for you. Do you understand? Like, we can need sunlight, and it's not the vitamin D that's doing it. The magic of it. You have to disconnect those two things. So, let's keep going. I just want you to see the bias in this paper before we get into this. Under the unfeigned or unrestrained encouragement of the medical profession, child welfare agencies everywhere have preached the doctrine of the liberal administration of cod liver oil in infancy. Okay. That he wants to promote it. Now we get into it. Hence, it may be asked to what extent the promotion of the use of cod liver oil in infancy is on a basis that is defensible from every standpoint. Is it effective? Does it involve possibilities of unsuspected harm? Well, I'll show you my cod liver oil is toxic thread. Is it worthwhile? Should it be modified in any way? So he just asked all those questions, and now that he just asked all those questions, watch where this goes. Evidence is already available in 1926. This paper is from 1926. Evidence is already available to suggest that the highest expectations are not consistently realized. The commonest reaction to such reports is to question the dosage or the potency of the cod liver oil given. Oh my gosh, people out there. Have you guys ever come across people out there saying cod liver oil has the perfect ratio of vitamin A to vitamin D, and you have to get this brand, and you have to ferment it, and you have to... No. People were claiming our cod liver oil, and this cod liver oil was better, and this had more of this and that. They were doing this in 1926. That's how long this BS argument, apologetics about cod liver oil, it doesn't have enough of this, or not, the A to D ratio is bad. You want to know something funny? As they started trying to clean up cod liver oil to get all the forever chemicals and the microplastics and the other known organic toxins out of it, do you want to know what they started removing out of cod liver oil, because it goes along with the organic type toxins as they try to pull the toxic metals and the plasticizers and all that stuff out of the cod liver oil? You want to know what went with it? The vitamin A and the vitamin D. Weird that would fit into a toxin removal thing. And then the detoxination guys who advise, flush niacin and saunas say that, one of the drawbacks of doing saunas and sweating all that out is your vitamin A and your vitamin D and your vitamin E will go down. So wait, are you saying we're detoxing and these vitamins are coming out of us as we detox? Is our body dumb, or does our body know what it's doing? So anyway, let's keep going. Since it has become possible to standardize the product through laboratory tests, okay, so they know what's in it. There is less excuse for centering all criticism on the quality of the therapeutic agent employed. He's saying this is a weak excuse. You can't use this excuse anymore. Thus, now we get into it. Thus, Wilson's study of New York infants aged 1 to 3 months, born in the spring and summer of 1924, pay attention, receiving graduated doses of from 1/2 to 1.5 teaspoonfuls of a biologically tested cod liver oil, revealed the development of clinical rickets in 91% of the subjects. Wait, 91% of them still got rickets even though they were given cod liver oil. 91%. What am I saying rickets is? It's a meat deficiency. And it could be sunlight. I mean, sunlight goes in there with it. Everybody needs sunlight. But taking cod liver oil with vitamin D in it didn't fix it. Taking cod liver oil with vitamin A in it didn't fix it. Didn't prevent it. Now let's get even worse. A more intensive study of 47 infants aged from 2 weeks, born in the winter of 1925, receiving daily doses of 1, 2, and 3 teaspoonfuls. That's a tablespoon. That's a tablespoon of cod liver oil. Of biologically tested cod liver oil showed the development of clinical rickets in 68% of the cases. What are they feeding these children? As compared with 76% of the control series of 30 cases. So 76% of the kids who didn't get cod liver oil got rickets, and 68% of the kids who got cod liver oil got rickets. Now listen, they actually say that this is not a big difference. This is not significant, as they would say. I mean, seriously, what are they feeding these kids? 97% of infants born in the summer and 91% of infants born in the winter who received cod liver oil showed rentgenographic, that's X-ray, evidence of rickets, as did 97% of the infants born in the summer and 98% of the infants born in the winter who did not receive cod liver oil. This is not a difference. It's not preventing anything. 3 teaspoons of cod liver oil. Well, if we talk about protein energy malnutrition, you know how many calories are in a teaspoon of oil? It's like 140 calories. If you give a tablespoon of oil is like 140 calories. That's what I meant. Tablespoon of oil is about 140 calories. 140 calories in an infant is a lot of calories. So could you be helping with the protein energy malnutrition and see a little bit of this result just from the calories? Yes, of course. Let's keep going. Where were we? There did not seem to be any relation between the degree of rickets observed and the amount of cod liver oil received. Wouldn't you think there would be the rickets in the kids who didn't have it so much would be less? Right? There's no 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, 3 teaspoons. There's no difference. Furthermore, a comparison of the degree and incidence of rickets observed in infants receiving and not receiving cod liver oil did not reveal any striking difference. No striking difference. Another significant feature of these New York patients is that the concentration of calcium and inorganic phosphorus in the serum of infants under 5 months of age with early clinical and rentgenographic evidence of rickets was within the normal range. So if they're going to try to say, I don't know, there's a group out there that obsesses on calcium and phosphorus. I don't know who they are, but they sure obsess on it. There was no difference in their blood in terms of calcium and phosphorus, if they got cod liver oil or if they didn't. So now here we go. This report By no means isolated in its findings. That means it was repeated. Wait, so we're repeating studies. This report, by no means isolated in its findings. So there are multiple studies showing that cod liver oil does not work to prevent rickets. It must not be received in gloom or allowed to spread discouragement. Is this science? You can't. I'm pretty sure discouragement is like an emotion, a feeling. We must not let our feelings change because the science says that cod liver oil is worthless in preventing rickets. We must not let that. We must keep pushing the toxic fish liver juice. This is how long the PSYOP's been going on, folks. They're saying we cannot let this change what we do. I think that's it for this paper. Oh, no. Here we go. It behooves us, as in we should, it behooves us to consider more seriously than is currently being done whether the inorganic minerals or other food factors, protein, energy, aside from vitamin D, are not also involved in the rickety, that's causing rickets, tendencies so widely observed. Well, brilliant. Okay, so obviously cod liver oil is not preventing rickets. So maybe it's not vitamin A and vitamin D that you need to look at. Maybe we should look at minerals. Derp. In the animal laboratory, an adequate... Wait. Let's just go over this. In the animal laboratory, an adequate intake of well-selected mineral nutrients is a potent help in averting rickets. So why are humans so different now? 10 grams of meat in a dog a day prevented rickets. Maybe it's not a lack of cod liver oil. I mean, seriously. The lesson of recurrent rickets, recently taught by Hess, indicates the need of unremitting vigilance and persistence in treatment. Okay, recurrent rickets comes back. So what if... So wait, they didn't fix it with cod liver oil? Or maybe they gave cod liver oil and it helped for a while and then the rickets came back. Is that sounding... If you treat something with toxins like, oh, I don't know, cod liver oil, and the problem comes back, then we see that we were not treating the root cause. You have no shortage of vitamin D rat poison going in your cake hole. You have no shortage of vitamin A going in your cake hole. You have no shortage of toxic fish liver juice. You have a meat deficiency, which is protein and energy and zinc and iron and quite possibly taurine. Let me see what Joe sent me. What is needed above? All at present, however, is a better understanding of how rickets may be averted or avoided in the home as well as in the well-ordered clinic. Okay, so I have like 4 shares going on in the same window. Okay, let me... Well, Joe, I don't know which one you're showing, so I'm going to close... Oh, that's the one. Okay, we got it. Close that one. Okay, got it. Wait, almost. There we go. Okay, fixed it. So, do we not connect cod liver oil to rickets well enough there? So let's go. Let's keep going. Let me find it. So this is... Let me put the link to the... Oh, did I just close? Hold on. Let me share the right one again. I got it, Joe. I'll share the tab. And then we'll go here. Share this tab. Okay, got it. Okay. So now, this is the paper. Let me get the link so you guys can all have it. There we go. That is so, oh, I don't know if I got, so this is I got the PDF, Joe, I think. There's the PDF. Okay, so we got all that. I give you guys these references so you can see them so you don't have to trust me. I mean, I want you to trust me. You should be able to trust me. So let's go in here. So now I just want to post this again. I've talked about this a bunch of times. This is my cod liver oil is toxic thread right here. Just to go over something, people are like, Weston Price. Let me go find his quotes about cod liver oil. Hold on. Here we go. Weston Price. Weston Price said cod liver oil was magical stuff. This is a quote from one of his published papers. So let me find this link. So I'll put this in there for where it starts. But you should read the whole cod liver oil is toxic thread. So quoting Mr. Weston Price, Dr. Weston Price, I have frequently had mothers bring this question to me as a serious nutritional problem with their children. They had desired to do all they possibly could for their children and, in their efforts, had tried to follow the directions on the bottle or as otherwise provided, which often meant large doses of cod liver oil. Oh, I don't know, like a tablespoon a day in an infant, maybe? They have reported to me the difficulty they had in combating the rebellion of their children against the use of cod liver oil, which may have been in part a reaction of self-preservation. The children are trying to prevent themselves from dying and getting sick because they intuitively know it's poison. Many of the children were reported to regurgitate the oil when it was forced down. Do children know how to force themselves to vomit? Their bodies rejected it. Since it has been demonstrated that only the oil that is utilized contributes to the well-being of the human being or animal, it can readily be anticipated or thought ahead that compulsion to take such a toxic product could be very injurious, as in injury causing. Compulsion to take cod liver oil, a toxic product, could be very injurious. And here's this link. Let me see if I can copy the clean link. Let me see if this works. And it's not a Twitter link. Nope, that's a Twitter link. Well, that's fine. We can use that. But you guys can find the whole Twitter post. Okay, so we're not done yet, though. Another paper from Dr. Price about how giving children cod liver oil caused them to develop new conditions. Oh, I don't know, like all of us here who got more and more vitamin A toxic over the years and got more and more conditions. Here we go. Cod liver oil, like many other food substances, they have at times been responsible for upsets in the allergic child. Oh, I've gone over vitamin A and allergies before, right? Manifesting themselves in the form of vomiting, bile, diarrhea, bile, urticaria, that's itching, eczema, vitamin A toxicity, asthma, vitamin A toxicity, or in a combination of these syndromes. Let's keyword here. Because of this frequent complication, we have been searching for a product which could be given to children sensitive to cod liver oil, whose diets for allergic reasons have been inadequate, and who in addition is unable to tolerate cod liver oil in any form. Unable to tolerate cod liver oil in any form. We wish to report the cases of 4 allergic children in whom, owing to the addition of cod liver oil to their diets, various types of allergic manifestations developed, other than the one for which they first came seeking relief. So Dr. Price is saying that his advice to these mothers and the families to give their children cod liver oil made them worse. That's in JAMA. So now, this is the quote from Dr. Price that was published in the Weston Price Foundation's book, Nourishing Traditions. I don't know if this is still in there. They may have taken it out because of me. Who knows if they're going to do that in the future. Cod liver oil can be given in moderate doses. So not crazy high doses, whatever that means, but maybe not like 3 teaspoons a day, without injury. So if he's saying it can be given in moderate doses without injury, what is he saying that high doses will cause? Injury, and to great advantage. Seldom, however, should the child be given more than 1 teaspoonful a day for extended periods because of toxic effects that often develop. I mean, this is Weston Price sure is saying injurious and toxic a lot when he talks about cod liver oil. So that was a letter to his nieces and nephews. So why would Weston Price be telling his nieces and nephews that cod liver oil is toxic and to not take too much? They're his family. They're his family. So, yeah. Now let's keep going. Okay. I'm going to go over, I have this paper here, and I think I have it in I think I have the PDF. Let me go check the PDF, Joe, and just make sure that this is the one. No. We're going to go over it on the Twitter. Okay. On the Twitter machine. Here we go. This is a paper called, so one of the things that they talk about with vitamin A deficiency is they'll say that you could get ophthalmia or xerophthalmia is dry eye. Ophthalmia means, I looked it up here for you, got the definition, inflammation of the eye, especially of the conjunctiva. Okay, so if you've heard of conjunctivitis, similar. Okay, the membranes or coatings of the eye or the eyeball. Okay. So I want you to pay attention to this. When we're talking about minerals, we're talking about minerals with vitamin D deficiency, supposedly. We're talking about minerals with vitamin A deficiency. But let's pay attention to the title here. The pathological anatomy. So the disease anatomy of ophthalmia, eye inflammation, produced by diets containing fat-soluble A. So it has vitamin A, but unfavorable or bad contents of certain inorganic elements like minerals. Okay, this is in my I believe this is in my vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist thread. So here, let me get this link. So I'll get the main thread link too, but you can always just scroll up. So here is the quote, and I'm just taking these excerpts. Diets containing an abundant, I did capitalize that, an abundant supply of fat-soluble A may produce an ophthalmia in rats. Wait. Did they just say vitamin A can cause eye irritation? The disease is very similar clinically to that which develops in animals which are fed diets deficient in fat-soluble A. Wait, everybody. Why is the deficiency symptom the same as the toxicity symptom? Whenever you see deficiency symptoms that are the same as the toxicity symptoms, you know you're looking at a toxin. Here's a funny thing, like Kelsey and I are working on a methylene blue special episode, and what do they use methylene blue to treat? Methemoglobinemia. What can methylene blue cause? Methemoglobinemia. Whenever you see something cause a condition and fix a condition, it's a toxin. So their diets contain different mineral mixtures. These two diets. Mineral mixtures, salt. When they say salt, they don't just mean table salt, sodium chloride. They don't just mean that. Okay, so let's... Wait. What just happened? What just happened? There it is. Okay. Xerophthalmia, dry eye, and keratomalacia untreated progression of xerophthalmia. It's like where your eyes, so from blinking, I believe, you irritate your eyes because you don't have enough liquid. You don't have enough tears to lubricate your eyes. So after a while, it starts to get scratched, just like, sunglasses get scratched kind of thing. Okay? Xerophthalmia and keratomalacia are produced in rats by feeding them diets which are deficient in fat-soluble A. They're saying if you don't give enough vitamin A, you get dry eye and scratched eye, basically. The same changes may result from consumption of diets which have, I believe that's pronounced ceteris paribus, or what that means is all other things being equal, an abundant supply of fat-soluble A, but which contains certain unfavorable salt or mineral mixtures. So wait, if you have vitamin A, a lot of it, or not enough vitamin A, then the mineral mixtures, zinc, iron, magnesium, start to play a big role. The two conditions are clinically and pathologically identical and are identical with human xerophthalmia and keratomalacia. It would seem that factors other than fat-soluble A may have to be considered in regard to etiology, the cause, and treatment of the condition. Okay, so how'd they fix it? You got too much vitamin A, you got too little vitamin A. How could you fix it? One rat in which keratomalacia had been produced, so they gave him this scratched eye from having dry eyes, was placed on a diet containing a good salt mixture, as in good minerals, after both corneas had been perforated by the ulcers. The activity of the pathological process was checked, aka stopped, at once clinically as a result of the change. Photophobia disappeared. That's not liking to look at bright lights. This is a common vitamin A toxicity symptom. The discharge diminished and the conjunctiva became moistened. They fixed dry eye with minerals, not vitamin A. And they're saying here, and I'm saying I added here, therefore vitamin A deficiency has nothing to do with xerophthalmia, dry eye, or keratomalacia, dryness with ulceration and perforation of the cornea, as in it's a mineral problem. Okay. Let me go back up to the very top one of this thread. Oh man, that's a long thread. We'll put that in there. And let's keep, so that was the ophthalmia. This is the other one if you guys want to see it. I think this was the whole thread. Yeah. And now this paper, I wanted to go over this paper that I put up on Twitter the other day. So this paper, oh my gosh. I don't know how people can ignore this research. So, here, let me get I'll put the Twitter link in there and then I'll put the actual paper link. Here's the paper, and we're going to go into the whole paper. So, Joe, I'm going to share my other screen again. Here we go. Let's do this, and I'll go share my screen. And where is it? Oh, we're doing an entire screen. There we go. Okay. You got it? Okay, cool. Got it. Now let me zoom in for you guys. Can I zoom? It's not. No, come on now. That's the search. Anyway, well, I'm going to read it to you guys. I'll put the Twitter link here, or I could just go from here. So more evidence that, let me share this one now. Now I got to switch my share again. Sorry, I haven't used PDF shares before, so bear with me. And let's go here, no, here, and here, and we'll share that. Okay, Joe, now we're good. Now we're good. So I have the PDF, but we're just I can't zoom, so you guys can't see it. So this was my first tweet. This is the quote from the paper. Every 4 months, the treatment group of mild to moderately malnourished children less than 3 years old. So I want to say something first. The only time they ever find vitamin A helps anything is when they are malnourished. If you have well-nourished people, vitamin A doesn't ever do much of anything. So they're mild to moderately malnourished children less than 3 years old. It doesn't always work, though, as you'll see. They receive 60 milligrams of vitamin A, 200,000 units all at once. I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. I think they're injecting it. Whereas the control group received a placebo. Cases of xerophthalmia and severe malnutrition were excluded. Wait a second. Xerophthalmia. They say it is a vitamin A deficiency condition. Like that is one of the classic symptoms of vitamin A deficiency. And you have malnourished children with dry eye, probably not getting any meat. And they won't give those kids vitamin A? Shouldn't they want to prove that it works? And then also, why are they excluding the kids with severe malnutrition? Wouldn't they need it the most? This doesn't sound very ethical to me. I mean, if you see the more starving people, shouldn't you give them more food? Shouldn't you help them out? I mean, if you were going to help anybody, help out the most starving kids. Okay, so as I say here, what if they knew beforehand that giving kids vitamin A would make the problems above worse, so they avoid doing it? Or maybe they did and they didn't see any change and they just decided to change their paper. Scientists are human. They like to put food on the table too. So if they're going to say something that might cause them to lose their funding for the rest of their lives or not be blacklisted, they're not going to say it. So let's go. This was the big part at the end of the paper. These findings are similar to other recent findings. Okay, so what findings did we find? And indicate that vitamin A supplementation does not reduce common morbidity, this is disease, in children with mild to moderate vitamin A deficiency in areas where access to healthcare and immunization are good. So I'm trying to figure out here, what does access to healthcare and immunization change about supposed vitamin A deficiency, right? If they have a vitamin A deficiency, they should have symptoms. They should have problems. This is an essential vitamin. So then when they gave them vitamin A supplements, it didn't do anything. Gosh, it sounds like the cod liver oil study, which is natural cod liver or natural vitamin A, right? Natural vitamin D, natural vitamin A. So the people who are out there going, but it's synthetic. No, it doesn't matter. So again, the translation here is it didn't work. And I'm saying because vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist. And they are repeating. They are replicating the findings. They're similar to other recent findings. That means there's more studies. Again, like with the cod liver oil thing, they're like, well, we keep having these studies come out that say that cod liver oil doesn't prevent rickets. But just take it anyway. This is the PSYOP, folks. They have a narrative that they want to protect. So again, as I say here, what these kids have, these malnourished children, is a meat deficiency, the same thing that causes rickets, a lack of total protein, a lack of total calories, zinc, iron, and maybe even taurine. I showed in my vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist thread how taurine deficiency or lack of taurine can cause dry eye. Okay. So I wanted to go back because there was an even better quote. Where was it? Oh, come on. No, it disappeared. Forget it. There was another quote I had from that paper. That was great, but I'm not worried about it. Oh, wait, no. Here, I'll read it from the paper. I've got the paper. I'm not going to put it on the screen, but here it is. Under field conditions, so in the real world, it has been difficult to distinguish the exact role of vitamin A deficiency. as opposed to other nutrient deficiencies and poverty-related factors, which also influence growth and morbidity. Protein, energy, malnutrition, and deficiencies of other micronutrients such as iron and zinc, which may have been shown to impair immune responses, may need to be controlled for before firm conclusions can be drawn. Translation: in the real world, we can't prove vitamin A deficiency exists. And we have an idea that iron deficiency and zinc deficiency and protein deficiency and energy deficiency are probably connected to it. Here's the actual paper. Let me put this in the thing. And okay, I think that's about it on that little presentation of how rickets is a generalized meat deficiency. This is why you don't hear about rickets in the US. We just got plenty of people eating plenty of meat. Even maybe crap meat, but at least they're eating meat. So, and if you're a vegetarian or a vegan and you're watching this, you better get enough protein. Total protein is huge. Total energy is huge. I'm not a huge fan of vegetarian or vegan diets for most people. There are rare people, probably less than 5% of people, who can get away with a vegan diet. They can make it work, and their genetics, their system may be more suitable for it. Some of you here might be that person. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm saying it's different. It's not something that normally happens. And so one of the things that I tend to think of with this is the problem is when, let's say, we have a vegan who does really well with it and they figured out what they need and then they advise it for everybody. That's what I don't like. What we're trying to do here, what we're trying to teach people here is so they can figure out their diet for themselves. Now, if I had somebody who just kept telling me, I've tried every type of meat possible, I just don't feel good on it. I've tried cooking it all sorts of different ways possible, I just don't feel good on it. Then I'd be like, okay, you don't have to eat it. Try to make sure you're getting enough protein from low toxicity sources and get enough zinc. And we may have to figure out some iron sources for you. And we just have to figure out how to make sure that these deficiencies that are known to cause problems don't happen. See? So did Grant... Oh. So Grant Generu, we were talking over the weekend and he wanted to talk to Kelsey about niacin. And I said we'd set it up. And Grant didn't talk to Kelsey before publishing his niacin article. That's disappointing. Because I know Grant would, if I don't know what Grant wrote, I don't know what's there. I don't know if it's good or bad. But yeah, getting Kelsey's information completely changed everything that I thought about it. But if he's wrote about niacinamide is garbage. There's no, we're doing flush niacin. We're doing nicotinic acid. So, but yeah, niacinamide's garbage. Okay, got a little charcoal in my throat there. So let's find the chats. And I did see, Joe, were there any super chats? I don't remember. I didn't see any. But I do want to get to Matt's question. Matt obviously got here early. No chats. Okay. So if anybody wants your question to go to the top of the list, just send a super chat and you go to the top of the list. But Matt Morris, Matt and I went to grade school together up through junior high, I believe. And we played basketball together. He was the guard. I was the center. We were a pretty good tag team on the court. So anyway, he asks, if I take activated charcoal before a workout, will this help eliminate some of the bile that's released as I exercise? Or does activated charcoal only help with toxins in the stomach from food? Good question. Key thing to remember about charcoal in general. Charcoal doesn't penetrate into the blood. At least if any does, it's such a small percentage. Like it's just super tiny. It doesn't, just think of it as staying in the gut. I haven't done any deep research to find out if any gets into the blood, but I'm saying it could be possible, but it's highly unlikely. So don't think of charcoal as going into the blood. As we talked about here before, like once the bile leaks into your blood, there's not much we can do about it. We have to wait for the liver to clean it out. That's the gist. So if you wanted to take charcoal to help with, actually, let me put my Telegram back up on the screen and then that. So if you're going to take charcoal to catch like bile in your system, it needs to be hitting, you need to have the bile dump in your guts, and then charcoal has to either catch up to it. So this is where we don't know the kinetics, the movement of the gut in charcoal well enough. Because like most people, when the charcoal soaks up the bile, which it does really well, it can soak up more bile. Or if people don't tend to get a lot of bile into their guts, they tend to be constipated. Sometimes charcoal will grab onto that bile, and then that will make them more constipated. You do also have to drink more fluids when you drink charcoal. Next thing, not commonly, but some people feel like they actually increase their bile dumping when they take charcoal. So they poop better on charcoal. It happens. I just don't try to sell people on like, oh, just keep taking more charcoal until you poop. No, because what's the one problem with charcoal? The one big risk with charcoal, not big risk. I mean, if you don't do stupid things, this is not a risk at all. The one big thing with charcoal is like when people took it for poisoning or whatever, if they took too much and they got so constipated that they didn't crap for a week, don't do that. If you're going to take charcoal, go up slowly. If you feel like it's helping you poop better, then you might be one of the people who it helps you poop better. But if you start taking more and you're going up slowly and you're going, I just get more and more constipated, then you're not that person. The one thing that could happen from charcoal is like a blocked colon if you took stupid amounts. We're probably talking like multiple tablespoons at a time. Or more. Like there was a point where I took 1 tablespoon 3 times a day, but I make a lot of bile, and I've always been a pretty champ pooper. So I never had an issue with it. But especially for you ladies or you constipated types, just don't be dumb with charcoal. It could make you more constipated. You should kind of expect that and adjust accordingly, whether you're going to do things to help you poop or not. So anyway, with one thing I can't say that I know, Matt, is when the bile dump from exercise happens, right? Does it happen during exercise when you start dumping all the stress hormones? Just as it's normal, exercise is going to increase your stress hormones. This is nothing to be afraid of. Or should, do you take the charcoal? What you may have to do, and if any of you do this or you've done this experiment, if you're going to try to catch the bile dump from exercise, you could try the charcoal before you work out and see how that does, and then compare it to taking the charcoal. Some of you might even put it in your water bottle and just drink it during your workout, kind of just drip it down there as you're working out, or you could take it after the workout and see which one seems to catch the bile dump the best. That's the best I can offer, but it's not going to go into your blood and grab the bile out of there. Like if you go and you work out and you go home and you don't feel good from the workout, like you exercise too hard, you dump too much bile and it's leaking into your bloodstream, you could take some charcoal then and hope that you're going to like catch the tail end of the bile dump. But the symptoms are showing that it's already leaked into your blood. So what's leaked into your blood, you're not going to catch with the charcoal. But could you still catch some that might still be in the intestines? And then that would be bound up so it wouldn't leak into your blood. Yes. Yeah. But the timing of the charcoal with the bile dumps, from whatever reason, that's something I don't, just like most things, I don't think there's going to be a specific, like, take it then, and then you'll catch it every time. I think it's going to be different from each person. That's why we don't have protocols for that kind of stuff. So, but when you're saying, does activated charcoal only help with toxins in the stomach from food? And I mean, yeah, there's a big a Zen dog in the chat. He's usually here. Joe, he does charcoal with his oats. So he makes like overnight oats and he puts charcoal in them. And that's going to both be a binder once it comes in the gut. And for those who are concerned about, like, let's say lutein in oats or other carotenoids that might be in oats, because there are some carotenoids in oats, it could soak those up too. So, I mean, you could take charcoal with every meal to potentially soak up toxins that are in the meal and that are in the bile that is dumped from that meal. Because it makes sense that if you're taking, if the food causes the bile dump and the body is dumping the bile to mix with the food, then if you take the charcoal with the food, it will be right there because it'll be all mixed together, right? So that's what I got on that one. Okay. KW asked, thank you for the super chat, KW. Can you address post-menopause hot flashes and severe leg twitching? Had a hysterectomy at 39, prolapse, and now 57. I am not sleeping. I am doing potassium, minerals, and flush niacin with baking soda, charcoal, potassium, and topical magnesium. Okay, well, first, whenever if there's an aggravation going on, like, so KW, I don't know if I know your name in the network. I don't know if you want to, I don't know. I don't know your backstory. I don't know how long you've been doing it. I don't know how hard you're pushing soluble fiber. There's a lot of stuff going on that I don't know. So I just tend to, when I have these questions, I tend to hit on a bunch of topics. So let me hit on the basics then. So first of all, the history of the I don't know if it was uterine prolapse, I'm guessing that's what it was, but the prolapse would tend to say when there's issues in the sex organs of men and women, there tends to be copper issues. And with copper and vitamin A issues tend to go together, but copper seems to be the worst on the sex organs. So whenever, especially a woman has anything related to the sex organs, I immediately think copper toxicity. So then what do we start thinking with that? Well, we start thinking zinc deficiency. However, if for certain people, if they take too much zinc, it kicks the copper out of the liver into the bile. And then when you dump bile, you have extra copper in that bile that leaks into the system. Then you get copper toxicity symptoms, and copper toxicity or copper in general will deplete potassium. Potassium tends to go with leg cramps. Could be twitching too. So that is that I would first be thinking, are you doing too much zinc? Because you mentioned you're 57. The reality of what I see with people who are trying to get better with this work, and I think better with any type of work, is these are the things that tend to point towards it's going to take longer. And so you gotta go slower. So women don't make as much bile. in general. This is in the research. Women tend to make fat easier, so they tend to store more stuff because that's what the fat's job is to store toxins. That's really, I mean, there's energy in it, but it's a toxin dump. And women are just better at making body fat. That's why women are smoother, which is a nice thing about women, but it is the reality that they just carry more body fat than men. Men make more bile, men carry less body fat in general because of testosterone and less estrogen and all that stuff. So the things that are the reality of how long it's going to take to get better, the longer somebody's had a condition. So if we're looking at, you mentioned 30 something for the surgery. So that means that however long that problem was going on before then, until you had the surgery, and then taking the tissue out may have removed some of the toxicity, but the toxicity problem was still there. So anyway, so we have the longer the condition's been around, the more conditions that a person has, the more severe, the higher severity or the more severe the conditions are, the older the person is, and this is kind of my joke one, but it's the more female the person is. So the more female somebody is, generally, so those things are like pointing in the direction of it's going to take longer. So if we stack up, like conditions been around a long time, somebody's got multiple conditions, they're pretty severe, they're a woman, and they're on the mature side of life, we'll put it that way, it's going to take longer. So we have that. So that also means they tend to be more toxic. And so pushing too hard, pushing the detox too hard, the bile dumping too hard will result in symptoms because you're just not good at clearing it. The more toxic we get, the slower we are at detox. So the faster we try to push detox, the more we're going to bottleneck and then back up the toxins into the system and then make ourselves feel bad or leak more bile, however you want to think of it. So, but my first suspicion, what is the cause of the hot flashes? I could show you in the research that bile causes fever. So what is a hot flash? It's like a mini fever, right? It's a bile dump. So what are we trying to work on? Well, so if you have hot flashes and you have surges of bile going into the system, then we have the thing we don't want to do as we're trying to get you better is trigger that a bunch more. So what have we talked about in terms of I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat and I'm seeing like I'm getting distracted. Where was I? We were talking about I totally got distracted by the chat. Let's see. Oh, we were going into getting better and all that stuff. Okay, so agitators. I was about to go into agitators. So what the term agitators, something I came up with. I believe agitators are the simple. You don't want to think of agitators as bad necessarily. You want to think of them as things that could stir up some, like you may have a really good friend and they go out in public and then all of a sudden they seem to start fights or whatever. Like an agitator would be like it's not a bad thing. It's just, it can turn bad on you. So agitators tend to be things that cause you to dump bile. So generally, if somebody was not leaking a ton of toxic bile, like they were not leaky, they're already really, really healthy. Agitators are generally thought of as good things. Things like exercise causes a bile dump. All these things cause bile dumps. Exercise, sun, warmth, heat, sweating, stress. Well, I mean, and then people will be like, what's the term? Oh, I'm not homeostatic, but the thing where they try to say that you need enough of a trigger, enough of a poison to stimulate the body. What's that term? Somebody give me that term. I don't know why my brain's not working right now. Anyway, God, I use it all the time. Hormesis. That's what it is. Hormesis is the word that everybody likes to use. I always joke. I say, who do you know in this world today who doesn't have enough stress that they need more stress? Right? So like hormesis, who do you know who's not toxic that they need more toxins to be healthy? Who do you know who's not stressed enough that they need more stress to be healthy? I don't know too many people. So anyway, stress will dump bile. It seems that an excessive amount of zinc, but even potentially selenium or molybdenum for certain people can dump copper into the bile. And then you've got extra copper in the bile, which would then result in, like, let's say, female-related issues or hot flashes or things of that nature. So the first thing we always look at in terms of the thing that might be stirring up copper would be, are you taking too much zinc? Oh, soluble fiber dumps bile. Soluble fiber, too much soluble fiber can be an agitator and cause you to dump more bile than the soluble fiber can soak up. And then you have overflowing, like leaky bile going into the system. So soluble fiber binds to bile and helps you poop it out, but soluble fiber also triggers bile dumping. So in each person, there's going to be a balance of this. And at different times of your detox recovery, there's going to be different balances of this. So you have to kind of judge it. One of the first things, if people are doing the program and they're having trouble or their symptoms are getting aggravated, almost always it's like too much soluble fiber. Almost always. Or they're just eating a soluble fiber source that doesn't get along with them. Like if you don't get along with beans and you're trying to force down beans 3 times a day, you're not going to feel good. No one gets along with every food. It's just the way it is. So that's what I would be thinking. Soluble fiber. Are you doing too much soluble fiber? Are you doing too much of any of the agitators? The sun, heat, sweating, stress, exercise. I mean, the stress is the big one. Soluble fiber would be another one, and potentially any of the copper antagonists that we use. Typically, zinc is the biggest culprit, but it could be selenium or molybdenum. So I hope I didn't see you anymore. What was her name? KW. I didn't see you anymore, but anyway, I hope that answers it. I hope you get to see this later. And but that's usually how I'd troubleshoot that. Oh, the other thing is, okay, so copper toxicity and so I've been over this before about potassium, but I'm going to say it again for all you guys. Vitamin A toxicity blocks potassium channels. So your potassium, you could have plenty of potassium in the system, but it's not getting back into the cells, which is where it's supposed to be. Vitamin D, I've shown the rat study that vitamin D depletes potassium. And copper toxicity in general will deplete potassium too. So people who are doing the program are going to be working on, they're not taking vitamin D supplements. They're reducing or minimizing vitamin A. And they're trying to work on copper toxicity both through their diet and through antagonizing copper with things like zinc and selenium and molybdenum. So they're working on that. But then you got to watch out for doing too much of them. That's the big thing. So there was an X flare during this during the video. So this may be affecting my brain a little bit. I am not on form as much as I usually am, but considering it was like an X8 something, that's a big flare. So let me see. Not sleeping. I'll just give a quick thing about not sleeping. If it's trouble falling, so if you're getting severe leg twitching, especially at night, leg cramps, foot cramps, calf cramps, hamstring cramps, any of that stuff, first thing I think is potassium deficiency. So we can fix potassium deficiency very quickly in terms of, but it's a day-to-day thing. You got to maintain it. You got to keep going with it. You got to find which type of potassium, if you're doing whether foods, bananas or coconut water, or they're actually, what was it? KW, there's papers out there on using coconut water to help with menopausal type symptoms. So potassium, is the big thing. And then if you're going to mess with supplements, read the articles on potassium. I just updated them a week ago or two. And make sure if you're going to try potassium supplements, folks, you start slow, maybe go up about 100 milligrams a day total, and try the different types, because you may get along with one type amazingly well, and you might not get along with some of the other types. So you don't know which ones until you try them. But if you try one type of potassium supplement and it doesn't really seem to help, that doesn't mean the others couldn't help. So, potassium's the first thing, especially if you're having trouble falling asleep initially. So KW, if you're laying down to try to go to sleep and your brain is running, like you can't shut off your brain, you just can't seem to fall asleep initially, if there was any type of cramping of the legs, these would be signs of, or especially if you're having a fast heartbeat, or palpitations, anything like that before bed, the first thing I would tend to try would be potassium. And you may want to move the potassium closer to bedtime. If you have a potassium deficiency and you're taking, let's say too much salt in your diet, and then you're adding, let's say, baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, you may be aggravating the potassium to sodium imbalance more. So you may need even more potassium to unbalance the sodium, or you could just switch your buffer from baking soda to potassium bicarbonate like we talk about in the program. So you could shift your sodium to potassium balance by just shifting your buffer. I think that's about, and then just watch out for copper, which the biggest thing would be don't overdo copper antagonists. But you don't know if you're overdoing them until either you go up slow and you notice the aggravation start, or you may back off, take a couple days off from the zinc or the selenium or molybdenum, any of them that you're doing, to kind of reset, see if that helps, and then re-add them slowly back in. But that's not like one day you add zinc, one day you add selenium, and one day you add molybdenum. You got to re-add them, go up slower. So those would be the big things. It could be not enough zinc, but without testing, we don't know. So then we got, an X8.7 flare. So that's a big one. So I hope that answered your question, KW. I tried to cover it, give everybody the basics again. Let's see, we're at 11:30. Oh wow, I almost started on time, and now I'm like not even 12 o'clock yet. Let's see. Kelsey was helping somebody in the live chat with potential constipation with nicotinic acid. She's helping her to troubleshoot that. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find another question. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we got one. So Gianni, thank you for the super chat. He asks, hi, docs. If this question has already been addressed, I apologize. Is lactoferrin or niacin or both more effective for repairing cholestasis? Well, I don't tend to put, it's a good question. I can't say that I'm going to have a specific answer. So from what Kelsey found, niacin, nicotinic acid, is a cofactor for lactoferrin. So it makes sense that with that connection, that nicotinic acid, let's say somebody was deficient in it, which is what most people are who are toxic, because nicotinic acid is used to detox. Like when you see the list of studies that Kelsey's found about what NAD is used to detox in the body and what nicotinic acid has been shown to detox in studies, the list of toxins, like nicotinic acid is like the greatest detox agent ever. Because it runs your body's detox systems. It is the gasoline to run your detox systems. So you might want to think of it as, our bodies make lactoferrin. And the lactoferrin that we make is not exactly the same as the lactoferrin we can get from the fresh milk lactoferrin that we use. I'm actually meeting my rep from Ingredia, the lactoferrin company out of France. I'm meeting my US rep today. I think we're probably gonna have dinner down by the U of A because he's in town. He was like, hey, let's go hang out somewhere. So I get to meet my US rep for Ingredia today. So that's kind of a funny thing. So lactoferrin is obviously a bit more expensive. It may have nicotinic acid as a cofactor, which may mean that if you lack nicotinic acid in your diet or supplementation, or just because you're toxic, you may not be able to make as much lactoferrin. And the funny thing is that vitamin A toxicity, you need nicotinic acid to detox vitamin A. So if you didn't have enough, if you had vitamin A toxicity, therefore you'd kind of almost implicitly have some level of deficiency of nicotinic acid and NAD production. And then you wouldn't be able to make as much lactoferrin of your own, which then a common thing with vitamin A toxicity, as we just went over in those papers, vitamin A deficiency and vitamin A toxicity cause dry eye. And remember, they're the same thing. It's toxicity. It's all toxicity. So it's possible that through that connection of nicotinic acid to lactoferrin, I think it's possible that lactoferrin may be a big driver of lactoferrin is found in all the fluids of the body. So lactoferrin may be involved in the production of those fluids. Does that make sense? So if I had to choose, if I like when people give you the whole like, well, you can only choose one. Well, lactoferrin is really great. And some people, when they take lactoferrin, they're just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Some people, it's too strong for them. Some people with nicotinic acid, they're like, this is amazing. And some people are like, this is too strong. Based on the more foundational use, the more foundational role, I'll say, of nicotinic acid, flush niacin, NAD for running your detox systems, I would say if somebody had to choose, or if somebody was prioritizing, that's why in the order of adding stuff in the Love Your Liver program, nicotinic acid is before lactoferrin. So if you want to say it's more foundational, yeah, it's an amino acid, like it's a small amino acid. And lactoferrin is a much bigger molecule. Like, right, we want to go, whenever we can, we want to give the body the opportunity to make stuff on its own rather than put in too much stuff that's already formed. It's just kind of a basic principle. You always go smaller. Give the body the smaller things and let the body build it rather than give the body too many big things. But lactoferrin is like, I don't want to be without either of them. I take two of my lactoferrin pills a day, and I just had about 2,500 milligrams of flush niacin in my drink, and that's what I do most days. So, which one is better? I don't know that I could say which one is better other than trying them and seeing which one. Because like some people will tolerate. This is the same thing with like zinc and selenium and molybdenum, but some people will tolerate lactoferrin amazingly well, and some people will tolerate niacin amazingly well, and they don't seem to get along very well with the other one. It's like too strong in terms of triggering bile dumping. They both, like, we got research on both lactoferrin helping with leaky gut and niacin helping with leaky gut. Are they helping with the toxic bile problem? They're both helping. But we always have to go by the individual's response to it. Some people suck them both up, like sponges, and they're just like, I feel amazing on both of them. I want more, and that's them. Some people are like, I can hardly take either of them. We just never know. But the nice thing, the advantage to nicotinic acid is, like I said, I think it's more foundational in nature, and it's less expensive. And there's the flush, which some people really don't enjoy, but I think they can get over that. If my kids can do it, you adults can do it. Okay. So that's what I got. Hope that helps. But yeah, I can't really say one is better than the other. Okay. Headwood asks, thank you for the super chat, Headwood. What are your thoughts on ionic foot bath detox, the kits with the arrays and electrodes, useful / safe, or snake oil? I've kind of been over this before, but I don't mind going over it again. I actually own one. I had a different one I used in practice for a while. Some people would feel better after it. Some people didn't notice anything. I never noticed anything. Now, my mother, she does feel better after it. Let's go over the realities of it and what the companies, the company that I have, the one I bought, I don't remember the brand. Somebody's going to want to know that, but I don't remember the brand off the top of my head. But the water, one of the things I don't like is when, and this is what the company that makes the one I have says, is they say it's not about what's in the water. Everybody other than this company loves to be like, oh, if you see this color in the water, it means this. And if this means this and this. And I'm like, I would look at those people. I'd be like, what are you talking about? It's like those things that are supposed to adjust your energy. They you stick them on like acupuncture points, the electroacupuncture by Vol and all those scanners where they're scanning you and they're saying, oh, your liver frequency is off and it needs to be adjusted. And I'm like, okay, so first of all, who was the supremely healthy person that you measured the liver frequency in? Like, who is that person? May I meet them? See how healthy they are. Like, who came up with the liver is at this many hertz, right? I've always wanted to know that. And isn't that a fair question? Like, you're going to tell me that my liver frequency is not right. And I'm going to say, where did you find that? Right? So, and then it's like when they say this color in the water means this. And I'm like, what are you basing that on? Like, I mean, it's just a simple question. I'm not saying it couldn't work. I'm just saying, what are you using to state that? Did you analyze the water and find that green relates to bile? One of the things that my environmental medicine instructor, the detox guy at my naturopathic medical school, is he said the minerals that are found in the water after it's done, a lot of it's rust, because the electrodes are rusting underwater. But all of the minerals that are found in the water after an ionic foot bath are from the electrodes, generally. And the company that makes the one that I use says that it's not about what's in the water. It's somehow stimulating your detoxification pathways. And then they had some people do the foot bath, and they showed that their excretion of, I think it was several toxic metals, was increased for like 3 days afterwards. Or is it the day after or 3 days afterwards? So they specifically said it's not about what's in the water. The water is not it. It's about what it stimulates. And then they showed data, their own clinical stuff, but they were showing that, yes, it did increase the output, the excretion of certain toxic metals from before the foot bath. So it increased it. Okay, I'm cool with that. Then we get into running currents through people. Your nervous system is basically like a circuit board. It's made for the types of frequencies and energies of, whether you want to call it volts or wattage or what, the type of electricity that is supposed to run through our nervous system is the stuff made by our bodies. Makes sense, right? That's what we're designed for. Like your home, like homes in the US are what, 110 volts, and over in Europe they're 220. Right? They're made for different amounts of juice, is what I'm saying. So if you start taking exogenous from without the body, unnatural currents, and start running them through the body, you might get some problems. So yeah, Joe, if you want to post the ALS episode, yeah, go ahead. So I did a video on ALS and its connections to toxicities and deficiencies and potentially running currents through the body. I mean, when you got that thing in the water, the electrodes for the ionic foot bath, it's running a current through the water. You know, as they say, if a telephone pole, if the telephone line, I mean the power line up on a pole broke and it goes down into a puddle of water, you don't want to touch the water because you'll get electrocuted, right? Well, they're running a current in the water of an ionic foot bath. So could potentially the ionic foot bath be increasing your detox speed for a couple days? Sure. Could there also potentially be long-term issues with doing too many ionic foot baths, running current through your nervous system that's not supposed to be there, and kind of burning out your own nervous system? Yeah, both could happen. I'm not saying either one of them is. Well, we know the detox stuff seems to be confirmed. The long-term stuff, I mean, how are they going to study that in today's world of EMFs? How are they going to isolate that factor to see whether it increases disease in people? I don't know how they're ever going to do that. Like back in the paper that they were talking about, where like Lou Gehrig, they knew that Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, they knew he did tons of electrotherapy. And then he got a very specific neurological condition. And they started to see that they were finding ALS was coming up higher in athletes, especially athletes who did tons of electrical muscle stimulation. Doesn't mean it's the only cause. It just means it might be one cause. And running currents through a system that it's not designed for, it makes sense that it could burn it out. I mean, it makes sense to me. As just something to watch out for. And it's something that they're not going to tell us. Oh my gosh, they're not going to tell us anything about this. You can't speak badly of electricity and EMFs and all that stuff. They just won't have it. I don't know if I posted on Twitter, the NIH stopped research on cell phone EMF. They were studying it and then they shut down the research. Can we theorize as to why they might have done that? Here, let me find that. Let me go find that. I tweeted about it. Let me go find it. If somebody else knows the tweet, there it is. Okay, so Joe, if you want to show this, you can. Here's the tweet. I'm going to go to the link here. Why did NIH abruptly halt research on the harms of cell phone radiation? It is from February. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? To protect the electricity and the EMF people. Could you imagine if, I mean, those Bluetooth wireless AirPods, what if all of a sudden they were like, oh goodness, brain cancer is like exploding in people? Do you think it's the EMF transmitters they're putting right next to their brain? Maybe. Like they're not going to tell you that. They will not tell you that. Like 60% of the people at my gym are wearing those things. They will not kill the golden goose. And then they lose them so easily, they got to buy more of them, right? And then now they made like, you know, wires so you can connect them. So you basically have wired headphones again, so you don't lose them. It's hilarious. And then they're taking the headphone jack off of phones. So then you can't use earphones, the wired earphones as well. They want to fry your brain. They want to fry you. what's the precautionary principle? You need to assume these things are bad until they are proven good, not just because you can go buy them at the Apple store. That doesn't mean they're safe, or wherever you're buying them. Okay. So, yeah, that's that. So about the ionic foot baths, my mom says she feels a little better after them. I never felt much. Some people, when I used it in practice, some people said they felt better. Some people didn't. I mean, I didn't have anybody who felt bad. But neurological degeneration happens over time. It's not something that tends to happen in one shot. So if it's going on, it's like hair growing. If somebody's slowly neurologically degenerating, it's like watching hair grow, right? You see somebody and you go, oh, well, like if they let their hair grow out for a month, you see them at the start, and then maybe you don't, or actually, let's just say 6 months. You see them 6 months later and they haven't cut their hair. You're like, oh, wow, your hair grew so much. But if you saw them every day, you'd never notice it. So then you see your friend or like your grandparent, and then you see them a year later and you're like, ooh, grandma's not thinking so good anymore, right? You see the change because you didn't see them every day. If you saw them every day, you might not notice it, like hair growing. We don't notice the hair growing if we watch it every day. But if you give it a week or a month or 6 months in between, then you go, oh, wow, that's a huge change. This is what people on the internet, they're like, no, it's fine. It'll be like methylene blue. Oh my gosh, Kelsey and I are getting so much stuff on this. A guy was just specifically saying on my Twitter that they were looking into methylene blue as a nootropic. Does anybody know how to pronounce that properly? nootropic, right? Nootropic. I never know how to say it. I never looked it up. I've just been too lazy. Anyway, he was saying they were investigating it as one of those, a brain supplement 10 years ago. And they quit looking into it because it was causing too many problems. Do you want to know when the problems really show up? When people stop taking it. Kelsey found a paper. I found a paper on aldehyde dehydrogenase inhibition by methylene blue. It's practically the title of the paper. And there was nootropic. Okay, thanks, Joe. But Kelsey found a paper on, I found a paper on ALDH inhibition by methylene blue, and Kelsey looked into it a little deeper, and she's like, oh, wow, did you notice this part? After they stopped the methylene blue in the mice or the rats or whatever, afterwards their ALDH increased higher than baseline. Well, what do we know here in toxic bile theory ALDH is related to? A low ALDH is related to low bile production, low bile dumping. So you take methylene blue, you shut down detox. Ooh, I feel amazing. Like there's a influencer on Twitter who said it's like pure crack. That's the way she described it. And then another company selling it, their ad on Instagram was feels like Adderall. They're selling it as like a drug to get high with, right? That's how they're pushing it. So drugs slow down detox, and then you can feel better from drugs. I mean, why would people do drugs, right? If there wasn't an effect. So they're talking about this. It slows down your detox. You feel better. And that whole time you're not detoxing, or not detoxing very well. Detoxing even less than before. And then you stop taking it. Not only are you more toxic from having detoxed even less, but there's a rebound effect where the ALDH goes higher, which means that your bile dumping goes higher. You start dumping more bile, you start leaking more bile, you get more symptoms. Or you get your old symptoms back and they're worse. And maybe you get more symptoms. And there was another woman on Twitter who said she took it. It was amazing. And when she quit, all hell broke loose. So do you want to sign up for a toxic dye that you have to take the rest of your life? And then you start reading the other studies of toxicity where they gave it to mice and rats and they died. There were certain kind of concentrations they went over where they're like, all of them died. All of them died. And they would keep going down. And then they're like, yeah, not all of them died, but some of them died. And then it's pretty bad. But that's what Kelsey and I are going to go over. We've been accumulating. We have so much stuff that we got to put it all together. So anyway, don't trust the methylene blue people. Don't trust the Smurf sauce, as Kelsey likes to say. So yeah, so I think that's do we have any more super chats, Joe? Did anybody show up with any more super chats? Otherwise, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Under 2 hours today. Amazing. No more super chats. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna get going. Wait. Joe says wait. I missed a super chat. Oh, let me check. Oh, there it is, Anna. Okay. Anna asks. Sorry, Anna. Thank you for the super chat. I missed it. Thank you, Zen Dog. She says, what's the relation to hepcidin production and the toxic bile theory? I've taken iron A and D for 40 years, resulting in very low cholesterol and iron. I just want to make sure, Anna, are you still here? Like, because I want to ask questions about this. Will sending another super. Thank you for the super chat, Will. Will sent a super chat that says super chat. So anyway, Anna, are you still here? Yes, you paid. Oh yeah, you paid for one. Yeah. No, thank you for the super chat. I wanted to. It's on the screen right now. So you've been taking. This is what I want to confirm. You've taken iron and vitamin A and vitamin D for 40 years, and you were taking it for low cholesterol and iron, or you took it and you eventually developed low cholesterol and iron. So that's what I'm trying to get at. You've been doing all this for 40 years and now you've got low cholesterol and iron. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So in terms of, yes, you're here. Okay, cool. Well, I'm assuming, hopefully, Anna, I want to make sure I'm catching your comments as they relate to, I'm going to give you a second to type in. So Anna, if you can hear me, I mean, I know you can hear me, but what we're trying to, I'll go over that testimonial there in a second. Okay. I'll just explain this as via toxic bile theory. And I'm going to make some assumptions. You know what happens when you assume. So I may or may not be saying it the way that Anna, it happened. Okay, so you took it for anemia. So you took iron and vitamin A and vitamin D for 40 years. You originally took it for anemia, and over time you developed low cholesterol, low iron, and low hemoglobin. So did your anemia get worse over time? This could just be a yes or no. So Anna, did the anemia get worse as you took all that stuff for longer? You did say develop. So that is kind of answering my question. Okay. I'm just going to start talking on it so we don't have dead air. When people, so anemia, unless somebody is not eating meat, right? So what are ways that people can get low iron that are not related to the liver problems? That is most of it. Yes. Okay. So we got a yes. How could people develop low iron where it's not related to the liver? Well, I mean, one would be not eating enough meat. That's simple, right? The next way would be loss of blood. So if you got stabbed and you lost a bunch of blood, you're going to be anemic, right? If you donate blood too often, you could not be remaking the red blood cells fast enough, and you could develop an anemia over time. I did that to myself. I donated 5 times in a row. Every 2 months, every 8 weeks. I was going every 8 weeks. I developed symptoms of anemia, iron deficiency anemia, and I fixed it very quick. Once I knew what the problem was, I fixed it very quickly. I've gone over that story here before. Now, women with really heavy cycles on a regular basis will develop anemia. Now, that problem is related to the liver. That's why they're bleeding so much. But then we get into, if none of these things are happening, person's eating plenty of meat, they're not donating blood too often, they're not losing blood from other places, and they have a chronic anemia for a long time. This is the liver. I mean, iron overload is a liver problem. Where's the iron getting stored? It's in the liver. And chronic anemia is also a liver problem. So one of the things that vitamin A and vitamin D show in the research is they reduce bile production. Even from just a meal with vitamin A or vitamin D in it. I think they did it in rats. I don't know, it might have been humans. They gave it to them and they saw that there's less absorption of vitamin A. The more vitamin A and vitamin D you eat, the less of it you absorb. Your body's trying to protect you from this by reducing. And how do you absorb fat soluble things? Bile. So does it make sense that your body is cranking down your bile production to help you not absorb these toxic things? It's a self-preservation mechanism, just like the kids with Weston Price vomiting up the cod liver oil. Their body's saying, please, no, stop. So vitamin A and D, so vitamin A and vitamin D accumulate in your liver. So if vitamin A and vitamin D slow down bile production, then you're going to slowly reduce your overall bile production because all that stuff is stuck in your liver. Taking iron, we do store iron. What happens if you can't get rid of the bile? One of the ways, the main way your body gets rid of extra iron, other than, female cycles, which guys don't have, but the way guys get rid of iron, especially on women too, but we get rid of it through the bile. So we can poop it out. Well, if you're not making much bile, then you're not getting rid of much bile. And then the iron that you're taking is getting stuck in your liver. And it's just not coming out in the bile. And it's not coming out into red blood cells. Your liver is just overloaded. And it's not working as well as it should. Now, we've had multiple women who have had low ferritin for practically their entire lives. And we get their ferritin, which is, I have a whole episode on ferritin. Anna, you might want to watch my ferritin episode. But that's more talking about higher ferritin. But we've had women who have had low ferritin their entire lives. And do we give them iron? Generally, no. We fix their liver, and then their ferritin comes back up into the range that we want, which is about 30 to 70. We want it to be 30 to 70 on a normal basis. As people get lower and lower in vitamin A and they're less and less toxic, I'm okay with the idea of it going even lower as long as they don't show any anemia symptoms at all. Because a really low ferritin in a healthy person would be an indicator of not a lot of bile leaking into the blood. When you watch the ferritin episode, you'll understand. Ferritin is one of the ways your body protects you from iron, and it dumps it into the bile to poop it out. Okay, Sarah said, yes, her ferritin has been raising ever since she started the program 3 years ago. So we can fix low ferritin. It's a liver problem. Your iron overload is a liver problem. Your iron deficiency is a liver problem, except for those other situations that I mentioned. Now, once in a while, if somebody's like lost a bunch of blood, might they need to take some iron supplements? Sure. I mean, we got to get it back in there somehow. And here's the other side of that. If somebody is eating meat on a daily basis, like if you're eating red meat once a day, you have no deficiency of iron in your diet. So if you chronically have low, and assuming you're not having heavy bleeding, you have no deficiency of iron in your diet. Therefore, the iron deficiency problem is rooted in your liver. And so we fix the liver and then we fix the iron problem. So sadly, Anna, like so many of us here have done, you kind of poisoned your liver with the vitamin A and the vitamin D and the iron, and you were trying to do the iron for a good cause. You're trying to raise the iron. We all tend to, in the early days of all of our health journeys, we all tend to think very simplistically, right? Oh, you have low iron. Oh, just take iron. Like this is the conventional medical idea. Like if it's too hot, make it cold. If it's too wet, make it dry. Like this is what they do. If you don't have enough iron, just take iron, right? I mean, that it in a certain way it makes sense, but health is much more complex than that. And we can this is why when we start figuring out the root causes of these things, we can actually address the root cause and not just do basically an allopathic approach to nutrition, which is just if you're low in this, take this. Because iron supplements could cause all sorts of problems over time. But for a short period of time, like when people, just so you know, when people use iron with me through, the testing and consultation packages, and we're doing the office hour stuff, when they take iron with me, if they do, it's understood that this is a temporary thing. I mean, they can do whatever they want long term. If I say it's a temporary thing and they're like, oh, I'm going to take iron the rest of my life. I mean, you can. I'm not going to stop you. But the plan in this framework is that you're not going to need it forever. We need to get you some iron. We fix the liver, and then the liver takes over and you don't need iron anymore. Kind of like we do with vitamin K. Vitamin K deficiency is a problem of toxic bile killing bacteria, the bacteria in your gut that make your vitamin K. I have studies showing vitamin A depletes vitamin K. How could vitamin A deplete vitamin K if your bacteria in your gut make it? Vitamin A is retinoic acid chemical peel once it gets down into your gut. Retinoic acid is a chemical peel. It dissolves layers of skin. It could kill bacteria in your stomach. Maybe it kills specific ones that make vitamin K extra efficiently. So, over time, as we fix the toxic bile problem, the bacteria come back in the right amounts, and then you're making vitamin K for yourself again, and you don't need to take the supplement that we might have had you on at some point. It's as simple as that. So that's where, like, if one's going to use, what was her name? Wait, where was she? Anna. So Anna, if you've been taking iron supplements for 4 decades and eating red meat on a regular basis, there is no reason to suspect that you have a lack of iron in your liver. You probably have tons of iron in your liver. And if I think they can do, I think they might be able to see it in an MRI. Yeah, like if you've been taking iron for a long time and they do an MRI of your liver, I mean, it's magnetic resonance imaging. What's the most magnetic mineral we deal with on a daily basis, especially in food? Iron. So you may have, so this is the one thing that confuses a lot of practitioners, is what we call iron dysregulation, which is where you can have too much iron in certain ways and too little iron. Oh, wow. So that okay. So Anna said I actually had a heart attack from iron overload in 2017, but still said my blood levels were low. Iron dysregulation. Too much iron in certain places and not enough iron in other places. I'm sorry you had to go through that. But that's exactly what we're talking about. And so when you go to other practitioners, Anna, you may have dealt with practitioners who were doing this. You know, they're like, well, thus they said it was hepcidin overproduction. Well, they've got to blame something. They can't blame themselves. They can't blame their lack of knowledge and being able to fix it. I mean, there's not a lot of people out there doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So it's not that I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just saying this is like, I'm out there with this stuff. I don't even think about hepcidin. Like hepcidin doesn't come up on my radar. I think I might have mentioned it in the ferritin, video a bit, but like everybody gets into all these. It was like somebody on Twitter was trying to say, oh, the high estrogen was what was causing the retinol binding protein problem. And I'm like, estrogen is made in response to things. Like, do people think we just have like estrogen factories just going rogue in our system? No, it's because something's triggering it to be made. Like as the way I love that Kelsey put it, Kelsey's like the body, humans and animals and bodies in general try to conserve energy. If something doesn't need to be made, it's not going to be made. So if the body is doing something, making something that uses energy, it's doing it for a reason. So like if they're saying hepcidin overproduction, well, then we go, why is the body doing it? Is the body doing it because it's toxic and it's like forcing it out? Or is the hepcidin actually defensive? Because the way we always want to think of what the body does, even disease conditions, kind of like we talk about, you know, people talk about in like psychotherapy or counseling or whatever, we assume that people do the best they can at any moment with the tools they have. They may have crappy tools, but they're doing the best they can with the tools they have. Well, what's the body doing when it's toxic and deficient? It's doing the best response it can with the tools it has. That's all it can do. And so we may be like, well, I don't like this symptom. And your body's just like, well, the symptom is there because we're trying to push toxins out of your skin. Or let's say you, all of a sudden, Anna, something happened to you. Let's say it was stress, right? Because stress can trigger heart attacks. Well, wait. Stress triggers bile dumping. Bile going into the blood, going to your heart could cause a heart attack. Right? Yeah, that's the worst case scenario. So let's say, Anna, something all of a sudden, whether it was like agitators. Usually when people have, you might be able to do this right now, Anna. If you went back, and I'm sure you've probably analyzed this stuff, but you may not have thought of it in this way before. If you were to think about what happened the day of and the day before, and maybe even the week before that happened, that heart attack happened, you might be able to find that your diet was really different than normal. Maybe you were under a lot of stress from any angle. It could have been money, family, work, whatever. Maybe you were in the sun a lot. Maybe you were out in the heat a lot. Maybe you were doing a lot of physical activity, labor, sweating a lot. Any of those things. Maybe you started a new supplement that we wouldn't normally use, but it might have triggered a lot of bile dumping. Could have been like maybe you OD'd on coffee. And there was too much caffeine, like sympathetic reaction, dumping too much bile. And all of a sudden, you dumped a bunch of toxic bile into your system that it was normally not coming out. But something blew it out. Kind of like anaphylaxis. And we have the whole anaphylaxis video to go over about like bile dumps triggering and going into the system and causing people to have what they call allergic reactions. So, but yeah, that's, oh my God. So, Joe, put up Anna's comment. They increased my iron to 12 iron pills a day 2 weeks before the heart attack. Talk about Malpractice. But see, this is where, and then you were in a hot tub, and that's what triggered it. Oh my gosh. Like, Anna, I'm really sorry this happened. And it, Joe made his joke of Anna is Iron Woman. That was funny. That's fun. That's Joe's got a good sense of humor, but I'm not laughing at your situation, Anna, at all. What I'm saying is the cool thing about this to me, and I hope to you guys, is you see how I just said something changed before it happened, most likely. Something shifted. They bumped her up to 12 iron pills, and then she was in a hot tub. Like, this is toxic bile theory in action. I don't want people to suffer to prove this theory. But it proves itself by real life stories. And then we put it together and we just go, this makes sense now. Yeah, Zendog saying, how can these guys not get sued? Well, I'm glad. Yes, as Brenda M said, she said, OMG, and I'm so happy you're here to tell your story. Yes, we're happy you're here to tell your story. Absolutely. Not happy it happened. So I want you guys to think about this. This is something we do. This is something I'm training. I trained Nathan to do, and I trained Hope and Kelsey to do in the consults. If you try, so like Anna, this is what we would have done in your case. Let's say you came to us and you were on, I don't know. Let's just pick a number, 6 iron pills. And we're working with you. And let's just say you started at 3. Let's just say you started at 3. Okay. So you start, so I'm going to try to be like a normie practitioner who doesn't use their brain. We have this is what these really complicated treatment algorithms are about. So when I say them, it makes sense. Like, there was one guy I think he was a computer engineer on Twitter, and he said, it was a really great compliment. He said, I used to think all doctors were stupid until I saw your stuff. And I was like, well, that's a really cool compliment. I love when like farmers give me compliments and engineers give me compliments. And I'm like, it's just systems. It's just, I don't know why people don't think in terms of systems. They just go, well, this does this. And I go, how's it affecting the system? Why does it do that? So let's say you were on 3 iron pills. And you go to your doctor and you get they say you're low in iron. Okay. Take 3 iron pills. You do that for a month or 2 or 3 or whatever. Then you go back and get your blood tested again. And they're like, well, we increased you to 3 iron pills, but your iron didn't go up, or even worse, maybe it went down. And then they go, well, obviously, let's give you more iron. They give you 6 pills. Another 3 months passes. You go back in to get your blood test. 6 pills doesn't raise you, or worse, made you go down. Then they pump you up to 12 pills. And then they give you a heart attack. This is... It's what I call the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So I was teaching, like Hope and Kelsey and Nathan about this is a very important concept for practitioners. And if you're out there trying to Wild West it on your own, read your own labs and treat yourself, if you start seeing your labs go down, if you're taking something for a significant period of time, past the initial phase, if you're taking something and your numbers continue to go down, stop doing that. Right? You're taking more and your numbers are going down. Don't do the definition of insanity to yourself. Don't keep pushing deeper into that. Something's not right. Maybe you're using a crappy form of a mineral. Maybe something's wrong in your liver and it's not using it well. Or your taking too much, or, I mean, think about that. You can have on a hair test where this is one of the first things, this was one of the first lessons I learned, definition of insanity on the hair test. When I used to think that copper was an important mineral, I mean, it's important to get rid of, but when I used to think it was important to have in the system, and manganese, I used to think manganese was important. Okay, I don't take either of those. We don't use either of those. I love to see those go down everywhere now. It's part of how I fix people. Sorry, let me change that. I said how I help fix people. How I help people to fix themselves is what I mean. I don't cure anybody. I technically don't fix people. I teach you what to do, and I suggest things to you to do to help you fix yourself. Your body does the healing. So, trying to make sure I say that correctly. So I started taking, I was looking at my hair test and I went, but so this was before I knew all this stuff, and I went, oh, my copper looks low on the hair test. Oh, my manganese looks low on the hair test. So I got a bottle of copper pills and I got a bottle of manganese pills. And I took 1 pill a day of each. And I was doing my hair test every month at the time. Get the next hair test back in a month. Copper went down. Manganese went down. Okay, I'm going to take 2 copper pills and 2 manganese pills a day. Do that for a while. For a month, copper went further down. Manganese went further down. And that's where the definition of insanity in terms of treating a hair test especially came into play. I went, okay, so I've jacked up I started taking copper and manganese to 1 pill a day, and then I went up to 2 pills a day, and my numbers keep going down. You could also say, it's doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that. Right? So taking those pills made the numbers go down. So I went, okay, I'm not going to do that. I personally, on hair tests, I have had the lowest copper I have ever seen on a hair test from taking copper. Then I stopped taking it, and my numbers came back up to, they still look low, but they came back up to where they were before. So, that's the other saying. So we got a bunch of sayings here. What is it? What is the digging a hole? If you're digging yourself, if you don't want to go any deeper, stop digging, right? If you're already in a hole and you don't want to go deeper, stop digging, or something like that. I know Joe knows this saying. But yeah, that's what we got. I'm very sorry that happened to you, Anna. And that's a classic iron dysregulation thing. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Most practitioners don't know what to do with iron dysregulation, because you've got some things that are too high in iron and some things that are too low in iron. And they just they push their little buttons. They go, well, we're going to push this button to raise your iron, and we're going to push this button to lower your iron. But we can't do both of them at the same time. And we don't know how, they basically don't know how to fix the problem, because all they have is buttons to push to make the labs go the way they want. That's it. They just don't have the tools. So, yeah, so let's get into, we got another question. We got a question from Zendog. Phytates reduced by soaking grains and beans warm 120 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 24 hours. Does it help with potassium uptake? I don't know of any. Sorry, I mean sneeze. I don't know of any specific connection of phytates to potassium. Yeah, they typically talk about phytate with iron and zinc. But you got to discard the soaking water. That's the big thing. If you're gonna soak things or cook things to get rid of the phytic acid, getting rid of the water and then replacing the water is an important thing. I don't see here. Let me share my screen. No, it's not that really important. I don't see much with phytates and potassium, but in terms of if you could get rid of some more of the phytate or the phytic acid from the oats, let's say, then in theory you would be absorbing more of the zinc from your other foods, and the zinc would then help fix copper toxicity, which would then reduce the the zinc helps protect you and deal with vitamin A. Zinc helps protect you and deal with copper. So by getting more zinc through less phytates, you would then help to decrease vitamin A and copper better that way. So that's the potential connection. And then copper toxicity affects potassium. Copper toxicity causes potassium deficiency, if I didn't already say that. Okay. Oscar's. So sorry, Zendog, thanks for the super chat, and Oscar's super chat. Okay, so Zendog's been chatting with Oscar in the chat. He says, can't have too many carbs due to copper toxicity. Is it okay to fill out calories with fat to stay full? Too low fat and I get very hungry. Oh, you're welcome, Joe, Zendog. So Oscar, do you tend to be underweight? Or are you underweight? Are you still there? No active 25-year-old male. Okay, so 3,000 to 3,500 calories a day. Okay, so with the dietary fat thing, if you're going to add them, it would be good to get into the Love Your Liver program as Joe was suggesting, so you can see like the fats that we do use when we tend to use them. If you are really active, then yeah, you may need some added fat to keep weight on. We do not want people like losing good weight, if you know what I mean. So generally the goal is minimal added fats, but if you need to, I mean, you could try, it would still be, I would still suggest trying to get your fat from foods, if at all possible. You know, if you wanted to pick, if you were eating red meat, you could pick, you know, still good sources, but fattier cuts. There'd be other ways of getting some more fats that are still kind of like whole food based. I prefer that, but if you're having trouble with satiety, you could add some. But everybody here knows that we have a lot of people who are doing just fine with almost no added fats. I do think so. He said a bit fattier meat or tallow is the best. I'm fattier meat. Yes, I'm not a huge fan of tallow. Eating it. I just not a huge fan of it. So I just don't. Heavily cooked fats, like not, I know everybody say it's low temperature. I don't know. I just don't think that source is great. But yeah, fattier meats I think would be fine. It's hard to eat more carbs and not go above that copper amount. You mean the copper amount that causes you issues, Oscar? You're saying you do get symptoms from carbs. Is that right? There's a certain amount of carbs that you eat that causes you symptoms. Okay, Oscar says, yes, I do best on low carb, like 50 to 70 grams, 75 grams of carbs a day from oats and apples, but scared you won't detox with that fat amount sorry. The little heart there's a little heart thing that gets in the way. Well, okay, so you're saying you're scared you won't detox with that fat amount. I don't know how much fat you're talking about, but this is a very important concept. If you are generally doing most things correctly, well, first of all, Oscar, you could take, what am I trying to think of? So that looks pretty keto-ish. 14. So that's like, that's not too bad. Anyway, we've had people make progress, like the woman I've talked about who, like, she could eat like 3 foods, and one of her foods was mangoes, like dried mangoes. That was seriously one of this woman's only foods she could eat. And I said, okay, just do everything else as well as you can. I said, everybody, I've told this story before. People in the network, she's like saying, what can I eat? And I can only eat mangoes and this. And what can anybody help me and whatever? And then people were saying, you got to get off the mangoes. You got to get off the mangoes. And I came in and I said, you eat what you can eat, because as you just saw in all those studies, protein energy malnutrition is a guaranteed problem. If you're not getting enough protein and you're not getting enough calories, and or especially both together, then you're gonna fall apart over time. So what I said to her is, I said, you make sure to eat enough food and what you can eat, and then we do everything else, and you'll start to get better, and then you'll be able to get off the mangoes. And that's what happened. And we've had other people who are like, I can't eat the right foods, and I'm eating this, and this is one of the few foods I can eat. And I say, just do everything else that you can correctly, and that issue will go away. So if you're relying on a bunch of fat right now, Oscar, if do everything else right, and then just make sure that those fats are not high vitamin A fats, because one of the things that does cause us to absorb vitamin A is fat. And so the less fats you get, the less vitamin A you'll absorb. So well, okay. And so let me go over this. So he says, Oscar says, cool. I've just heard fat is terrible for detoxing. Okay, well, let me just finish the question. So you've been trying to push high carb, low fat, but can't stay full on it. And it doesn't feel as good as you did on lower carb, not full keto, but more fat. Okay. That's okay for now. And that may shift over time. Like, I used to do tons of soluble fiber stuff. And over time, I just realized that, like, I just do better with low vitamin A fruits and vegetables. Like I kind of, I'm not saying I eat paleo, but I kind of do like mostly meat and a little bit of grains, and then low vitamin A fruits and vegetables. Like that's most of my diet. I don't do a lot of grains or beans like a lot of people on the program do. And people always want to ask me what my diet is. And I'm going, this is the diet that works for me. Like, I know genetically, my dad told me as a kid, he said, if I want to lose weight, all I have to do is just eat meat and fruit and vegetables. I don't have to even think about how much I eat. I just eat what I want and I lose weight. And I was back then, I've said this before, I was like, Dad, I was trying to be like the smart, like college student. I'm like, Dad, it's not that simple. It can't be that simple. And as I've gotten older and as I've realized what works in my system, I'm like, yeah, my dad was basically right. So like I did my problem with when I did paleo was I was doing all the stupid vitamin A stuff. Like, if I would have done paleo with a low vitamin A organization, I would have done really well with that. I mean, I was eating a bag of spinach salad with like a bag, like 12 ounces of cauliflower on it. And oh my God, and making sweet potatoes all the time. And oh man, it's terrible. Then of course you put butter on the sweet potatoes. So you get more vitamin A and you soak up more vitamin A from the sweet potatoes. Unreal. So, yeah, but that's, I wouldn't worry about it for now. Like Oscar, remember, we don't want to starve. We don't want you thinking about hunger all day. But if you were doing, let's just say 50% fat and you have it pretty regulated, if you go for a while and you're feeling better on it, then maybe you try 45%. I'm just picking numbers here. So maybe you try 45% and you go, oh, well, 45% is cool for, I've been doing this. Okay. So you do that for 2 weeks, a month, and you're like, wow, that seems fine. And as you're getting better, then you go, okay, well, let's try 40%. And then you lower it and then you see how that goes. So if you're really watching your food and your macros and stuff like that, then you could just stay at that macro for a while and then eventually just try shifting your macros a little bit. For those of you who don't know, macros, macronutrients like fats, carbs, protein, that stuff. Oh yeah. And then some people, okay, so this is a very important thing. Yeah. Let me just add this last thing. When people come over to the low vitamin A detox or the vitamin A detox from a very keto or a generally low carb setup. If you haven't seen my video or my threads on Twitter about diabetes and vitamin A, so the problem with the blood sugar stuff is the vitamin A. So if let's say somebody starts eating a bunch of carbs, they're eating a bunch of bananas and apples and oats and beans and whatever, and they're like, my blood sugar is going all over the place. You're just not ready for the carbs yet. We can get you there. You will get there. But at the start, you might need to eat less carbs while your blood sugar system is fixing itself from the toxicities and the deficiencies. So you can't just jump in, right? You can't, some people can, but some people can't. So I do tell people sometimes you may have to introduce carbs over time as we get your carb system working better. So there's that. Okay. So we got, Tao Lin, thank you for the super chat. Tao Lin's over on Twitter with us. Low starch diet is prescribed for ankylosing spondylitis. I did this for 8 years and it relieved my ankylosing spondylitis by about 70%. Carnivore and now low vitamin A resolved the rest. His question, why would avoiding starch help ankylosing spondylitis? Tell me about the starches that, well, actually, let me just say something here about, we may never have answers to certain food issues. I was talking to somebody in the network the other day. They figured out that they are obscenely sensitive to lutein. They can't eat it at all, or it messes them up. I think they said it messes them up for 3 days. And he was asking me, why is this? What he's saying, what is my issue that I can't deal with lutein, but other people can? I don't know. Why is lutein that bad for him? I don't know. I do know that lutein, he talked to the lutein people, I think the Saris diet people, and they were saying that, lutein is just, their boogeyman is lutein. It's just lutein. They're just that's all you have to avoid. And I'm like, yeah, no. They're still giving people cod liver oil and stuff like that. So they still think vitamin A is necessary, and they're like, lutein is a carotenoid, but it doesn't convert into vitamin A. Well, I went and I found that lutein has been shown to stimulate the retinoic acid receptor. So lutein is it's doing the same things that vitamin A can do, which means it can cause the same problems. And that's what this gentleman has. He has vitamin A toxicity problems, and he's done a low vitamin A diet for years now, but he cannot do lutein. Usually what we see in people over time is that they become more tolerant of the toxins that used to cause them the bigger problems. He's as sensitive as ever to lutein specifically. So am I ever going to have an answer for him? Like if you look in the research, it's like methylene blue about lutein. They just slobber over lutein and zeaxanthin. They're like, oh, these are so amazing. I actually saw a paper say that lutein was an essential nutrient. Lutein, a carotenoid. It said it's an essential nutrient. What a crock. So in the research, are they going to try to find problems with lutein? No, they're not searching for that at all. They just want to tell you how great lutein is. So with low starch, like so Tao, tell me what are like the top 5 or 10 foods starch-wise that you avoid? I mean, is it mainly grains and beans? And then maybe potatoes? Like, tell me what the big classes of foods that you avoid on that diet. I mean, I know what starch is, but I just want to see the list since I'm going to ask the person who it works for what is working, right? Isn't that what we should all do? Like, success leaves clues. Okay, so go ask people what they're doing. Why don't people on Twitter well, it's funny when people on Twitter ask the Nutrition Truth Army people, well, what are you doing? And they're like, low vitamin A. And then they're like, it can't be that. Grains mostly and potatoes. Okay. Are beans included in that? Tower beans, one of the starch foods that you avoid? Yes and no beans. Okay, so we've got this starch problem. I know the Peters would have reasons to avoid starch, up the yin yang, but this is one of those topics where I haven't looked into it that much, to be honest, and it becomes very. I do think I'm going to store this one away for ankylosing spondylitis. It could be. Okay, Surfing UNC said one theory I read is ankylosing spondylitis is an autoimmune disease caused by gluten/grain allergy/sensitivity. He said, okay, Tao added, but I tried beans recently and I did fine on them. So now I'm wondering if I avoided them for 8 years thinking they would be bad for me, but they actually weren't. Well, you don't know. You might have maybe. So this is what we see on the program is as people do the right things, they become more tolerant of foods that they didn't used to handle. Now, I don't know if you still know if you're still sensitive to grains and potatoes are a nightshade. So that's a whole nother category of inflammation. But if you got better, so what I'm thinking, I mean, my first thought here is, so with gluten, as Surfing USA brought up, as an autoimmune disease stimulated by gluten or grain sensitivity, or grain allergy or sensitivity, could it be that in your system, starches, when you were more toxic, starches triggered you to dump bile? Just like I've talked about with celiac. With celiac's, gluten triggers a bile dump. Let me just go starch. Oops, I didn't spell that right. So let me share this. I don't know that anything I found is going to be useful, but we're gonna try it anyway. We're gonna see if anything's out there that fits with, like, let's say, toxic bile theory. So let's go. Here, we'll do that. And let me share this one. Okay, so Joe, you could share this. So we've got, no more super chats, please. I got to get going. We're cutting off super chats, but we're going to finish Tao's. So we've got here relationship between diet and ankylosing spondylitis. Obviously, we know diet is connected. But we have, let's go and see what they found as dietary changes. Tao, I'm sure you've looked up all of this stuff. Dietary fiber intake. Well, we know about fiber. I just don't, nothing on bile on this page. But what did it say? I want to make sure I'm reading this right when it says dietary fiber intake positively affected disease activity. So ASDAS, this is ASDAS. Where's the thing? They don't, is this one of those papers where they don't mention what these mean? So they're saying ASDS, CRP, and BAS, DAI were stable and negatively correlated across models in both groups with and without FBD symptoms. What is FBD? Your functional bowel disease. I just want to make sure I'm reading this right. Dietary fiber intake positively affected disease activity. Does that mean it's making disease activity more? So more fiber, more disease activity. Tao, do you know? Have you, when the way you've read this in all these papers you've read, you haven't read about fiber? Okay. High dietary. Okay, so let me look this up. So yeah, higher score is worse from what I'm seeing here. Right? Because they give morning stiffness. The more stiff you are, it goes to 10. Back pain severity to 10. Global assessment of disease activity, goes up to 10. So, and then they just multiply them by these numbers. So a higher ASDAS would be worse. Okay, so now let's go back and look at this. Just wanted to make sure on that one. Where was the... Okay, high dietary fiber intake is associated with low ASDAS, CRP, and BAS scores. I'm just going to call it that. So we have this, more fiber would mean more bile is being absorbed. Ankylosing spondylitis would probably mean there's a lot of bile going back into the blood. I just want to see if anything, let's starch bile PubMed. I'm just going to see if there's anything about bile and starch. I don't want resistant starch. Well, we may have something here. Here we go. Influence of starch fermentation on bile acid metabolism by colonic bacteria. In vivo, starch malabsorption has been shown to reduce the fecal excretion of secondary bile acids. So if you're not pooping them out, you're reabsorbing them. So if there is a starch malabsorption situation from whatever cause, you're not going to poop out your secondary bile acids. You're going to reabsorb them. So let's see. Anyway, I don't know that I can make any statements on this, but it's starch affects, basically starch is affecting the gut bacteria and the bile acid recipe. So it may be that in the situation where somebody has the disease called ankylosing spondylitis, there's some sort of gut biome situation where the starch, whether it's fermenting or feeding the gut bacteria, is creating some change in the bile recipe that then affects things negatively. And that could also be dietary fiber is food for gut bacteria. So dietary fiber could be feeding gut bacteria in a certain way that is helping to reduce the ankylosing spondylitis scores. The way, if we wanted to maximize that, Tau, if you know that avoiding certain starches helps you, then we keep doing it. And then if you wanted to try, a more purified, if you will, if you're doing carnivore and low vitamin A, if you wanted to try a more purified form of fiber to feed the gut bacteria to help your gut biome be more positive for the situation, that might be something like sun fiber, might be something like apple pectin. I don't know how much starch is in psyllium, but probably not much. But you could do one of the more isolated, concentrated fibers. So you're not adding starch, but you're able to get some fiber. So that's what I got. Does that help, Tau? And if I'm saying your name wrong, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, let me know. Are we good? I think. Did you just hit the heart, Tau? Somebody hit a heart. It doesn't say who did it. So okay, he says yes. Thank you. You're pronouncing my name right. Good. I used to say Matei, and then now I got Matei's name right, and we're getting your name right. Okay. Well, Tau, we're really glad to have you, and I do notice you on Twitter with some of your posts. So, okay, y'all. Even in spite of the X flare, we got through the rickets and the nonsense that is cod liver oil and all that stuff. So I'm going to wrap it up here. You all have a great day. I'll be back hopefully next week. Hopefully, maybe next week we'll be doing the special episode with Kelsey on methylene blue, and that's in the plan. We're doing that. Oh, you're very welcome, Anna. You're very welcome for the insight. So we'll be doing the special episode on methylene blue soon, and then we'll just do another live stream next week. It will probably either be on reflux or it'll just be a Q&A. I might do the Q&A just because I'm going to put so much time into the methylene blue. So, y'all have a great week. I will see you next time.